I used to do almost all of my illustration work in Procreate, and I was totally happy with it. But for the past years, don't ask me how many, I have no concept of time, I've been working almost exclusively in Adobe Fresco. Why? Because it has some tools that seriously improved my workflow and just made things a lot easier. Weird other me. What kind of things? There's actually a lot of things. The vector tools, including the vector trimming, the advanced motion tools, the separate little toggle for the smoothing. There's just a bunch of stuff that Procreate just doesn't do. On top of that, hey, where'd you go? Adobe Fresco is completely free now. There's no more premium version that you have to upgrade to get more stuff. They just made it completely free. Even if you're already using Fresco, you're probably gonna learn some stuff in here. I've been using it for a long time now, and some of the stuff I just recently discovered. So I think you should tune in. For a lot of people, the ability to draw in vector is their biggest reason for using Adobe Fresco. In the past, drawing in vector was not something that I enjoyed. When I needed to do something in vector for a specific client project or some other use case where I needed vector art, I would either limp through using the blob brush in Illustrator or just work in pixel-based brushes and then go through the process of trying to convert it in a way that didn't compromise the art too much. In Adobe Fresco, drawing with the vector brushes is as natural as drawing with any brush. The fact that Fresco has pixel-based and vector-based brushes is especially good for me because I can't sketch in vector brushes. I need it to be looser and quicker and less clean. Not that you can't work fast and quick with the vector brushes, you can work with them with like any other brushes. For me, I don't know what it is. I need it to look like a pencil. So I'll do my rough sketching and iterating like I'm doing here, you know, with a pencil, feeling comfortable and just sort of getting it dialed in the way I want. And then I can work directly over this with the vector brushes to get the clean vector art that I want. When I switch over to vector brushes here and start drawing, it's automatically gonna make a new layer because they can't exist on the same layer. So you don't even have to do anything. You just can start drawing and go for it. So because I do all of my sketching in the pencil brushes and then do the final line work in the vector brushes in this situation, I will use this smoothing and turn it all the way up. I love how in Fresco, this smoothing is separate from the individual brush settings. For example, Procreate's got that streamline feature, but you have to assign it in the brush settings. Here, I can just toggle it up and down with whatever brush I'm using, and that way, I don't have to have like a specific brush that has streamline and one that doesn't. For example, if I was drawing something where I wanted some quick, sharp lines, but then also there was an area that had like lots of smooth, flowy lines that I wanted the streamline for, I'd have to have two different brushes to get that same consistent line work. But here I can just toggle this up and down as I go. And because I'm only using this for my final line work, I can have that smoothing all the way up, and that delay in the line does not bother me at all because I've already sort of figured out the line work. Here I'm just trying to get controlled, smooth, perfect lines. You know, I don't mind that delay so I can get the perfect lines that I want. Some people see it and they're like, how could you even draw like that? If it really bothers you, you can turn it down. You don't have to have it at 100. But for me, I find it more efficient, turned all the way up, because I don't have to keep redoing lines. They're just dialed in perfect. Because I've already done the thinking part of the drawing where I'm like figuring out the shape. This I'm just executing. So I'm like looking where I'm going and not necessarily like thinking about that delay at all because it's not part of it. So you'll notice that I just drew right through some of these shapes. And the reason for that is the other thing that I love so much about Adobe Fresco that's specific to the vector tools, and that's the vector trimming. The vector trimming allows you to get the smoothest, tightest shapes, super sharp corners without trying. It's very easy. It's very satisfying. You just draw right through the shapes like this, and then come over here, see this little circle? This is the modifier. If you don't see it, you can turn it on your settings. We're gonna double tap it. When it's blue in the center, that turns whatever brush you're using to an eraser. I guess that's a little bonus thing I've talked about plenty of times in the past, but I don't ever really use the eraser. I just use this so that I'm erasing with the same mark that I'm drawing with. But if you tap it again in the vector brushes, this is where you get vector trimming mode. And now we can just draw through the lines that we do not want anymore. Look at this. Look how sharp these corners are. Look at that point. Perfect. Can you believe it? And this is infinitely scalable vector art. Look at this. No quality loss. It is perfect. One of the reasons drawing in vector is so natural in Adobe Fresco versus something like Illustrator is because It's shape-based vector where it's just sort of simplifying it so you're not dealing with like paths and fill. But as a result of that, you can't import other vector brushes. However, you can tweak the presets a little bit if you're trying to get a little bit of grit into your brush. For example, if you need something to be vector, but you want to have a little bit of that analog gritty look. I made a video showing you how to do that. I made a set of gritty brush presets that have a little bit of that texture built into them, which you can check out in my shop, or you could watch the video I'll link and do it for yourself for free. Anyway, I've got this skull here, and I am going to use these gritty vector brushes and show you some other ways that the vector trimming can be really handy for doing something like this. For example, here on this arm, coming out of this skull eyeball socket, we've got the eye socket going behind the arm, and you could just sort of like do one side and then try to like line it up down here. But with vector trimming, you can just draw the overall shape right over the line, and then you'll know you've got it right. And then you could just come over here to the vector trimming magic and just cut that line right off. And then these over here, bada boom, bada bang. I also find it helpful for getting like smooth, continuous, flowy lines. For example, when you're trying to do a smooth line and end at a specific point, it becomes a little bit harder because you're like stopping and then you just lose that flow. It's so much easier to draw a shape, like a curved shape through the end point. I'm drawing this thumb here. I can just come in, blast as far as I want there. With this, I can just go bigger and just draw right through these things. And it's so much easier to get that smooth shape. And then we can just use the trimmer to get rid of everything that we don't want. Pretty cool, right? Even though Fresco's main focus is as an illustration app, it also has some really powerful motion tools. It actually has some features that I haven't seen rivaled by anything else, even advanced animation focused applications, which I almost always hate using because for me, the drawing and illustration part is the most important part. And then I like adding movement to that. And when I have to work in a clunky animation app and use like bad drawing tools, it's not ideal. In Adobe Fresco, I'm using the tools that I use to draw with, and I can do a little bit of motion mixed in here as well. What makes Fresco's motion unique is a few different things. One is that each layer gets its own timeline, so you can like add lots of things as you go if you want to, or you can break things into pieces. You can also easily control the speed at which things are moving, so you can have a more in-depth dynamic motion. But I think one of the biggest things that really kind of blew my mind was the fact that you can do a frame-by-frame sequence and then put that on a path, and you can just like draw a path and it'll follow it. So let me show you what I'm talking about with this stupid little fish that I drew here. So if we come down to the animation thing at the bottom right, I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate this frame and just do it 3 times. And I'm not even gonna redraw, I'm just gonna use the liquify tool to show you how fast you can do something like this and how simple it can be. So I'm gonna choose frame, transform, and grab liquify and the warp tool. And I'm just gonna find a brush, or not a brush, or whatever size this is that allows me to just sort of move these fins a little bit. So I'm just gonna push them like this. I'm not gonna do the second one because it's already in a position. And then on this third one, I'll just push them a little bit more, and then we can kind of swipe through and see. There we go. Nothing special, but they are moving a little bit, and it took 30 seconds. What we can do now is click on this path thing, and we could just draw a path, and this fish is gonna follow along that path, and we can slow it down by like adding more frames, so it's going more in line with the speed of those flappy things. Pretty cool. But now we've got all of these other options here. Like we can do a grow shrink thing where we can make it shrink so it looks like it's getting further away because it's shrinking a little bit. See, it's getting smaller down there. We can also do things like speed options where it's based on like how fast we draw it. So check this out. So let's say we want to draw this little fish coming in hot and then going slow. So I'm gonna click on path and then draw real fast and then slow. Now, if we change this speed where it says uniform, we're going to go to original speed. And original speed is how fast you drew that line. So now we'll see, whoop. And you can see it follows it just as fast as we drew it. Okay, so let's say we want it to do a loop and it's gonna go up slow and then come down real fast. This doesn't really make sense for a fish, but I just wanna show you how you could do this. So we're gonna want the fish to align to the path, and to do that, we need it to be vertical for some reason. So what we're gonna do is go to we're gonna get out of the path stuff. We're gonna go to transform, and then we're gonna choose all frames. And then we're just gonna rotate it so it's vertical like this. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller so that we have some more room. So now when we go to path, we're gonna go fast, and then it's gonna go slow, and then real fast off. And we're gonna go align to path. Now it's gonna follow that. And then we're gonna change the speed to original speed. All right, so let's say you're like, okay, cool. I didn't want my fish to do a flip, and that's fine. Yeah, not everyone wants or needs their fish to do a flip, but what you might need is your fish to be more than one fish swimming through the ocean. Let me show you how you can do that. So I'm just gonna draw a path through my ocean. So over in the path options, you're gonna see some other stuff. Let's just adjust the speed so they're going a little bit slower. And we're gonna come over here to add multiples. You ready for a lot of fish? And you could put as many fish as you want. And you may be thinking, hey, that doesn't look like anything. That's not how fish, what is that, a fish centipede? No, we forgot to do the next part, which is a scatter, where we can scatter it. And now we've got fish all throughout the ocean, just swimming, doing their thing. We could do the grow shrink as well, so they look like they're kind of moving forward and back as they go. You could put more in there. You could just have too many fish in your ocean. Do you ever think about that? The amount of fish you could have in your ocean? There's more fish in the sea. And the fact that you can have a different animation on every single layer moving in different ways means that you could take this to an absurd level and do something like this underwater scene where we have all kinds of fish. We've got a whale, we've got an anglerfish, we've got a pufferfish, we've got bubbles, all this stuff. Those bubbles, that's just one little circle that I drew. And then we just did the same thing that I did with those other fish. And we just drew a wiggly line going up. It's pretty cool, right? I forgot one other cool motion thing that does a lot of the work for you. There are built-in presets now that can have really cool effects. For example, here, this is my little pufferfish sequence. I just did a frame by frame of the fish blowing up. The puffiness is fine, but I need it to sort of bob naturally. So we can take this sequence. We don't even have to draw a path. We can just click on path, and then you'll see there's motion presets built in. So we could just hit this bob one, and look at it just kind of bobbing and floating around. And we could, adjust the angle so it's not so much. We could slow it down a little bit so it's more underwater floatiness. There's a little pufferfish floating, bobbing around. Or maybe we want to try the bounce one. That's kind of funny with the pufferfish aspect of it. They got all these different things. You got to spin. What if this was a wheel? Possibilities are endless. Have you used the contiguous option or non-contiguous? Do you even know what contiguous means? Because I don't, but I can tell you what it does. Let's say you did this drawing of a bunch of dumb ideas that people suggested that you draw, put them all together, and you colored everything and it's all on the same layer, and you're like, dang, I don't like that reddish orange at all. I want to change that, but I'd have to do it each and every individual time. Not the case with this option. So we go over to the paint bucket. I'm gonna eyedropper this red by just holding down. That might be a tip. You might not know that one. It might be a bonus tip. And now I'm gonna come in here and I want to just make it more red, less orange, more like a pink. So before I fill one of these things in, what I'm gonna do is click on this little menu, the sub menu, and I'm gonna uncheck contiguous. And now when I fill in that red, it fills in all of the red on the whole illustration. Well, it was like, okay, that looks good now, but now I don't like this that light blue. So maybe we will say we want it to be more green, teal. I don't know. Come over here, bop that in, changed all of it. What if you're like, I didn't want to fill that in at all. This is a huge mistake. Double tap the modifier, and now you can use the paint bucket like a paint sucker upper. We can come over here and boom, all that color is gone. Did you know about that? That's pretty, I like that one. You can also use the contiguous for selections. Let's say you had all these colors all on one layer and you're like, oh, I really need to separate these colors. I wanted them on their own layers. you can do that as well with the selection tool. So we go to the select, go to magic wand, uncheck contiguous here, and let's say we want all the black on its own layer. We can come down here, tap that. Now all of the black is selected. We can go ahead and cut and paste. And now we got it's on its own layer. Let's say you wanted to isolate these other colors. You want the orange. Cut, paste, boom. That's a handy one too. The other cool feature, other cool tool I want to talk about is the shapes tool. This is a tool that I ignored for a very long time because maybe like you clicked on it and you saw some built-in setting, or as like maybe a comic speech bubble or a leaf. I feel like mine just used to be a leaf every time I opened it. What I discovered is you can make your own shapes. And the shapes are really powerful because what you can do is fill them, erase, mask, or select with this shape, and it can be vector too, which is pretty wild. What that means, it's a way to get vector art into Fresco that maybe came from somewhere else. I used it to make a whole bunch of textures that I could use as vector. I could use them as pixel based, but also vector, which is pretty cool because there wasn't a way to get analog looking vector art in Fresco any other way before this. I have a whole video on how I made my own shape set, but basically it involves using Adobe Capture. It's pretty easy. So you can check out that video. I will link to it, but let me just show you how this works. So you come over here, you can see I have a bunch of my own libraries here. These shapes libraries are available in my shop if you're interested, or you can make your own. Let's go down to the vector texture library. So here I got all these textures that I made and then brought them in as shapes. So when you see this, it shows up here. You can scale it, you can rotate it, you can do whatever you want with this. And then let's say you just want to fill it in and it'll say pixel or vector. Fill this in as vector, and now we've got this texture that is vector art. How cool is that? Another way I like to use the shapes is for lettering stuff. So I often will sketch out like little grid compositions to sort of help me figure something out. So I just made a bunch that I use on a regular basis. So if I'm like struggling to figure something out or want a quick composition, I can just use one of these things as a starting point. So if we go to lettering helpers here, you'll see we got a whole bunch of these. We tap on it, we got this little grid that pops up, and we can just fill this in. And then what I do is I just lower the opacity, and then I'll just use this to start doing some lettering. Just kind of write in the letter, can you believe it? And then with that in place, let me put a background on because I can't deal with this checker. And then I can lower the opacity on that, and then I just use that to sort of build something from this. So I'll come in here and make this C kind of fit like that, come down here, and now we've just got this quick, so these are the big things, the things that change the way I work and why I stick with Fresco and haven't gone back to Procreate, even though Procreate is a great app. Fresco just got some stuff that really works well for me. If you saw this and you're not a Fresco user and you want to learn about it and you want some tutorials, I got tons of videos on that. I'm going to link to this playlist here where you can dive in and know more than you'd ever need to know. I think this has been a good talk. Let me know what's your favorite Fresco feature, or if you aren't using it or didn't know about any of this stuff, or maybe you do and you think I don't. Okay, bye.